You must not rank this convention in the same league as other ordinary human assemblies. This is a phenomenon that is based purely on divine help for the propagation of Islam. 3 blessed days of spiritual reformation, of unity, brotherhood, and peace. Join us from the 28th to the 30th of August for Jalsa Salana, Canada, 2015.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Mubashir Chaudhry here at the International Centre in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, and we are just about to begin, and in fact we are beginning our 3rd session of the 39th annual Jalsa Salana, and I am honoured to have a guest next to me in studio here at Masroor Studio, and he is none other than, and I'm sure a lot of you will recognize him, he is the Honourable Irwin Cotler, Member of Parliament for the Liberal Party of Canada, and he's obviously very, very familiar with the community. The community is very familiar with Mr. Cotler. He used to be a cabinet minister under the Liberal government when they were in power. He was the Minister of Justice, but we're not here to talk about your former work as the Minister of Justice, which we did at one point, but really great accomplishment by yourself, Mr. Cotler, and that's why you're here today. Mr. Irwin Cotler is the recipient of the Sir Zafrullah Khan Award, and that's for his outstanding work in the area of human rights. He is just about to go on stage in a few minutes to get that award, but first of all, congratulations, Mr. Cotler.
Thank you. I am very pleased to be here. It's not my first time, but each time I come, I feel a sense of fellowship and peace in the best sense.
Speaking of that, as I said, I mean, to get this award, I mean, you did a lot of hard work to get this award, a lot in the area of international human rights. Can you just briefly tell me about some of the things you did?
Well, you know, one of my first acts as a justice minister at the time, I became the first minister to visit the Middle East, and I met with the justice ministers at the time of Egypt and Jordan and Israel and the Palestinian Authority, and I invited them all to a justice summit. Canada would host it. They all accepted. Regrettably, we lost the election, and that never came about. But I continued to work with the justice agenda within the Palestinian Authority, with Israel, continued to meet with people in these countries. For me, there's an inner relationship between peace and justice. There's no justice without peace, and there's no peace without justice, and that was my agenda as a minister, and that's been my work in Parliament.
Your background is at law. You're a very successful lawyer. Obviously, you know the Canadian Charter inside and out. How does that protect the rights of minorities?
Well, you know, the Canadian Charter has had a transformative impact not only on our laws, but on our lives. We move from being a parliamentary democracy to being a constitutional democracy. We move from the sovereignty of Parliament to the sovereignty of Constitution. And most of all, individuals and groups in this country, particularly minorities, now became rights claimants, now became people who could seek to remedy their rights and their violations of their rights. And the Charter is particularly concerned with the protection of minorities. I've always said the test of a just society is how does it treat its most disadvantaged amongst it? How does it treat its vulnerable minorities? And the Charter is there to protect those minorities and to promote human rights.
And obviously Middle East, a lot of minorities and, you know, a lot of, I guess, issues there. But the thing is, your work here helps them there. How does Canada as a whole help the minorities over in the Middle East?
Well, I think Canada can help best in terms of minorities in the Middle East, in terms of protecting them from assaults against them, whether there be assaults by reason of their religious belief,
right.
Whether there be assaults by reason of them being targeted not only for religious beliefs but for other beliefs. We have to be at the forefront, whether we're talking about Muslims or Yazidis or Christians. We have to be protecting them. We have to be protecting women who are the victims of violence in armed conflict. We have to protect the vulnerable, such as children, and to do so by way of humanitarian assistance, by medical relief, by providing humanitarian corridors where their protection can be had, and remembering always, and this is the 10th anniversary of the responsibility to protect doctrine, that whenever you have a situation where war crimes and crimes against humanity, God forbid genocide is being committed, and the place where it's being committed, the government is either unwilling or unable to do anything about it, or, as in the case of Syria, is the author of those crimes, we have a responsibility to intervene and protect the innocent civilians.
Just a couple of minutes ago, I mentioned about your law background and something that you're still practicing. And you had mentioned about 3 cases that you're currently working on, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm working on a number of political prisoner cases. One of them is the imprisoned Saudi blogger Raif Badawi, whose family actually is living as refugees in Quebec. I'm working also on behalf of an imprisoned Iranian cleric, the Ayatollah Bourjerdi. He, for seeking to advocate freedom of religion in Iran, was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment, and he's in critical medical care now. And also a third case has to do with a Mauritanian anti-slave activist, Hiram Abiad, who just last week, his sentence of imprisonment for combating slavery was confirmed by the Mauritanian court. So those are 3. There are other cases, but those are 3 very compelling concerns.
I understand. Also, we were just talking briefly about you're on the panel for the freedom of Nelson Mandela. Can you just briefly tell me about that?
Well, I was a member of the international legal team of Nelson Mandela. He, to me, symbolized, the ultimate in moral courage. A person who endured 27 years in a South African prison, emerged to not only preside over the dismantling of apartheid, but to establish a non-racial, democratic, egalitarian South Africa. That tells us something about the importance of freeing political prisoners wherever they are, because we can then usher in peace, democracy, and human rights in the countries in which they are freed.
Mr. Cotler, and all of what you have said is what brings you here today, receiving the Sir Zafrullah Khan Award, and I know you're going to get that in a few minutes, so I don't want to keep you anymore. Thank you so much for all the great work you've done. Thank you so much in advance for all the great work you will be doing once you retire as of October 19th, and I wish you the best and congratulations.
Thank you, and I just want to say Sir Zafrullah Khan is a hero for me as he is for everyone else.
Thank you so much. And that was Irwin Cotler. He is a Member of Parliament for the Liberal Party of Canada and former Cabinet Minister, Minister of Justice for the Liberal Party of Canada. Speaking of the Liberal Party of Canada, just earlier we had the leader of that party, the current leader, Mr. Justin Trudeau, and I had the opportunity to sit down and chat with him for a few minutes. And if you missed that, or if you saw it and want to see it again, let's go to it right now. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Mubashir Chaudhry here at Masroor Studio at the International Centre in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. This is the 39th annual Jalsa Salana, and I'm honored to be here with none other than a repeat guest, and I'm so glad he took the time to come back and join us. I know he's a very busy man. He is the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, and his name is the one and only, the Honourable Mr. Justin Trudeau. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be back here.
Great to have you back. I know you're extremely busy these days. We're in election campaign mode, which I'll ask you about in just a minute. But first off, you had just addressed the group here. You spoke to a large group. Tell me, why is it important for you to be here?
Oh, this is a great opportunity for people to draw together, to reflect on the strength of community, but also the kind of country that we want to continue to build every day with our hard work, with our efforts. And my message is one that Canada is strong, not in spite of our differences, but because of our differences. And that gives us an opportunity to pull together, to learn from each other, and to build a better future for us all by working hard at it. That's my message in this campaign, and that's what people are responding to.
Of course, you're very much about engagement, engaging Canadians, engaging communities. We're one of the many communities in Canada. How has this community maybe engaged with you and your party and your group?
Well, I have to say, on a personal level, in my very beginnings, as a young MP in Papineau 8 years ago, strong members of the community came, helped me, got involved politically, and helped me win my first election. So I feel a tremendous debt towards this community. It has consistently demonstrated not just a commitment to itself and its own community, which is normal, but also to engaging in the larger Canadian society. I think that's a tremendous example for new Canadians across the country that being involved in active, positive ways is wonderful.
Of course, like I said, you've been to numerous communities throughout the country. Is there something unique about this community? Is it the volunteers? Is it the peacefulness? Or I guess maybe it's similarities with other communities?
Well, I think at the heart of it, there's an understanding of the very ideals of respect and openness and compassion that makes Canada as a country so successful when it works well.
Sure.
I mean, we see it in the motto, love for all, hatred for none. I mean, that is at the center of what we should try and be as Canadians, regardless of our religious background, and having a community that speaks so consistently and courageously for that is truly exceptional. You know, Canada is made of people who've come, largely from other parts of the world,
right.
Often fleeing persecution or difficulty, and that the Ahmadiyya community be so positive and open, despite the terrible hardships it's gone through, is a real credit to the community that you're part of.
During your speech just a few minutes ago, you made reference to Bill C-24. Can I get your views on that?
Bill C-24 is a bill that makes two categories of citizenship. If someone is born here, they have a different kind of citizenship than someone who acquires the citizenship or was born elsewhere. And I think that's wrong. I think that one of the things that makes Canada incredibly strong is a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian. And if someone does terrible things and attacks our country, we have consequences, which is jail, which is severe, and doesn't make a distinction between whether someone was born here or acquired citizenship.
Absolutely.
And I think it undermines one of the great things about Canada, and it's why we're opposed to C-24.
And of course, as I mentioned, we're in election campaign mode. One of the big things is the economy. Can I get your views on your vision for the economy?
Well, one of the things that I've heard from Canadians right across the country is people are worried about their jobs, about their kids' futures, about their own savings, about their retirement security. There is a tremendous amount of concern right now, and for 10 years Mr. Harper has been investing in support for the wealthiest Canadians in the hopes that that would create growth and jobs. That's trickle-down economics. It just hasn't worked very well for a lot of Canadians. So we're putting forward a new vision that is involved in investing in growth by investing in Canadians, helping the middle class and those working hard to join it, because that's what is actually going to make Canada strong. We believe in investing in our future. I think a confident country like Canada should invest in its own future, and that's what I'm focused on.
a few more weeks till October 19th, Election Day here in Canada. How busy are you going to be over the next few weeks?
I'm going to be extremely busy, out meeting as many people as I possibly can, talking about the positive vision that we have, talking about the great team that we've assembled of tremendous diversity, not just in backgrounds, but in experience and levels of knowledge. The fact is, a lot of politicking these days is very negative, and I've pledged to point out where I disagree with my opponents, but not to be nasty and personal, because I know that Canadians deserve to make a positive choice that's focused on bringing people together, and I'm going to get out and talk to as many people as I can over the next 2 months.
Well, I wish you the absolute best with that, Mr. Trudeau, and speaking of busy, I know you have to go down the hall, and I think you're going to be rolling up the sleeves and
getting to work as I always do.
All right, great. Pleasure. Thank you so much.
What a pleasure for me as well.
Always, and you're always welcome here.
Thank you.
That was Mr. Justin Trudeau, leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, joining us here at the 39th annual Jalsa Salana. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Mubashir Chaudhry here at Masroor Studio at the International Centre in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, and this is the 39th annual Jalsa Salana. And as you know, our format for MTA during the Jalsa, we have various guests and dignitaries, friends of the community come into our studio to sit with us for a few minutes, and like that, I have another special guest, a good friend of the community. His name is Mr. John Gormley. John, thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
It's a real pleasure and an honor to be here to join you. Thank you.
And as I said, his name is John Gormley, and fittingly, he has a radio show called The John Gormley Show. It's out of Saskatchewan. John, can you let the viewers know the call letters for the people in our western provinces?
Well, Moby, my show runs 4 hours every morning on 2 stations in Saskatchewan, CKOM Saskatoon and CJME Regina, and it's a public affairs show. There is a lot of controversy, yet there's a coming together, and there's a discussion of a lot of issues.
And I guess you probably get anything and everything, whether it's religion or politics or who knows. So just a quick snapshot of some of the topics that you guys cover on your show.
Well, hearing you talk about that, every child is taught if you want to have good dinner conversation, you never talk religion or politics or sex on a talk show. You do that, but we talk about a lot of current issues, and and it's in this context that I've been able to be blessed by meeting so many members of the Ahmadi community. You know, we've had a real perception issue on Islam for a long time. And you know, I spend as much time as I can with members of the community, because I'm always struck by any group, any faith organization, or any cultural group that talks about love for all, hatred for none, as being something I wish communities would emulate and expand upon.
And I'm glad you brought that up, John, because I was going to ask you, I mean, obviously with your radio show, you probably hear from countless people, you've met countless people. How do you see our community, the Ahmadiyya community? You mentioned our motto, the love for all, hatred for none. How do you see us with, and I'm not asking you to compare us, but how do you see us with some of the other communities in Canada?
I think your community does a remarkable job, and quite frankly, I think does most of the heavy lifting. The Ahmadiyya community, through, for example, the students at York who started the Stop the Crisis, the Meet a Muslim Family, the Fast with a Muslim Family, which are all initiatives that have been undertaken by the community, I think have bridged a lot of gaps and built a great deal of community building. And I'm not saying that other Muslim communities aren't there. There are an awful lot of good people doing good things, but I think your community, above all, has a singularity of message and a very broad and inclusive theme, and I really think in many respects you're doing a great deal of good work.
Oh, thank you so much for those kind words, John, and thank you very much for taking the time to come out from Saskatchewan to join us here in Mississauga. I appreciate your time.
Well, it's my pleasure and my honor to be with you today.
Thank you very much. And that was John Gormley from the John Gormley Show joining us here on MTA, and we will be right back after a short break.
So by the grace of Allah, we will see during this event almost 15 to 16,000 people pass through different points of the scanning stations or registration stations, and inshallah, we'll be able to serve the guests of the Promised Messiah Islam in the best possible manner. And I request everybody to pray for my team who have worked day in day out to make this happen. And obviously, without the prayers of Khalifatul Masih, nothing was possible. It is being done, and then I welcome all the guests coming from different countries. They all are welcome to get their cards and get it going. So Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Mubashir Chaudhry here at Masroor Studio at the International Center, and we are in our third session, Day 2, 39th Annual Jalsa Salana, and I have the privilege to be joined by the leader of the New Democratic Party of Ontario, Miss Andrea Horwath. Andrea, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure.
This is great to have you here, and I know you've been here for a few minutes now. You know the Ahmadiyya community. Could I just get your impressions of the Ahmadiyya community?
Well, I have to say that the one thing that I'm so impressed with is just the basic value statement that the community has around this concept of love for all, hatred for none. And I think to myself, if every person in Canada and every person around the world held that same value dearest, then we would have a lot less strife and a lot less pain and a lot less conflict in the world.
It's great when we hear, guest dignitaries like yourself saying that, because we do pride ourselves on that, and it makes us happy when we do hear that. But also, I guess you probably have noticed everybody here, we're all volunteers, we're all, happy to do it. And how do you find the whole organization internally when you see things like that?
Well, it's amazing, and I've taken a couple of tours of various facilities here in Toronto and a couple of different communities, and I have to say I'm amazed. I mean, the amount of dedication, the amount of effort that it takes for the volunteers to not only put on this fantastic convention, but day in and day out, the community centers, the programming that happens, the commitment, particularly to youth, to young people, to making sure that there's that constant attention to their needs, whether it be their faith needs, whether it be their physical needs through, I mean, I've seen a number of sports facilities where it's all run by volunteers, of course, education, academics as well. I mean, it is absolutely amazing, and it's something that you should be very, very proud of and certainly lauded for, because I think it really does help your youth and your young people particularly to stay connected to your community, to grow as adults eventually with dignity and with pride and with a sense of connection to not only your community but the broader community.
And Ms. Horwath, if I can ask you about your job, obviously I mentioned you're the leader of the New Democratic Party for Ontario. You're a very busy person because Ontario, if I'm not mistaken, is the most populous province in the country.
It is.
If I'm not mistaken. So how busy are you?
Well, it's not a slow job, that's for sure. But the really important piece of it that I find, the thing that keeps me going, is that I get to meet so many different people. I have the privilege, the privilege of traveling all over the province of Ontario. One of the things that I can say for sure is that no matter where I go, Ontarians are generous of heart. We may not always agree on everything, but there's certainly a generosity of heart that exists here in Ontario, no matter which part of the province you're in. And so having the honor of being able to represent my party all around the province, not only in terms of meeting various people from various geographic areas, but of course people who come from all over the world and have made Ontario their home, it is quite an amazing privilege, and it has been not only an education for me, but an enrichment in so many ways.
Well, that's wonderful to know that you're touring the province and meeting all these different peoples, getting their views, and I guess that's what makes you a leader for a party. And I commend you for your great work, Ms. Horwath, and thank you so much for coming.
My great pleasure. Thank you so much for allowing me to say a few words on your fantastic network.
You're always welcome here, and thank you again. We'll let you get back to the session, and I appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
And that was Miss Andrea Horwath, and she is the leader of the new Democratic Party of Ontario for the province of Ontario, and she took the time to join us here on NTA, and we will continue with more guests as we continue with this third and second day of the 39th annual Jalsa Salana.
You must not rank this convention in the same league as other ordinary human assemblies. This is a phenomenon that is based purely on divine help for the propagation of Islam. 3 blessed days of spiritual reformation, of unity, brotherhood, and peace. Join us from the 28th to the 30th of August for Jalsa Salana, Canada, 2015.
Join the Jalsa through our live stream of Jalsa Canada 2015 and its 3 blessed days. You can also become a part by following #Jalsa Canada and sending us your tweets, photos, and video messages via Twitter and Instagram.
फसुब्हानल्लज़ी औफ़ल अमानी फसुब्हानल्लज़ी औफ़ल अमानी
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Mubashir Chaudhry, and we are at Masroor Studio here at the International Center for the 39th annual Jalsa Salana, and we are in the front of the building in case you want to be situated. The stage is to my left, the entrance is to my right, and to my immediate left I'm joined by and have the privilege of being joined by Dr. Shafiq Qaadri, and he is a member of Provincial Parliament for the Liberal Party of Ontario. He is in fact the assistant to the mayor of the Premier of Ontario, Ms. Kathleen Wynne, and he is quite familiar with the community. He knows us quite well. Assalamu alaikum, welcome.
Wa alaikum assalam, Mubashir bhai. It's an honor and privilege, and on behalf of the Premier of the province, the Honourable Kathleen Wynne, main tamam community walon ko assalamu alaikum, and I think this is the 39th Jalsa Salana. I think it's probably, Mubashir bhai, my 12th attending, and it's a wonderful function. The thousands of people here and the volunteer spirit, and of course the motto, love for all, hatred for none, is just imbuing the atmosphere here.
And Dr. Qaadri, if I can ask you,
Sure.
you just said 12 times being here,
Sure.
and that's just here at the Jalsa, but you know the community quite
Of course,
well.
of course.
Tell me about your relationship with the community.
Community is very active, very involved. I think the thing that I appreciate the most is the volunteer spirit, because people come out for functions. If there's some local need in the Canadian community, people are out there and they're ready to serve.
And just a message from our Premier, Ms. Kathleen Wynne. I'm sure she conveys her salam, her congratulations. and
Absolutely. She was very pleased just now to celebrate Pakistan Independence Day along with Indian Independence Day. Inshallah, we're planning, by the way, trade missions to both India and Pakistan in the new year. And from her and on behalf of all members of the Ontario Liberal Caucus, not only Ramadan Kareem, Eid Mubarak, but Jalsa Salana Mubarak.
Thank you so much,
All the best,
Dr. Qaadri.
Thank you.
Real pleasure. And that was Dr. Shafiq Qaadri, member of Provincial Parliament for Ontario with the Liberal Party of the province, and he's a parliamentary assistant to Miss Kathleen Wynne, the Premier of Ontario.
You must not rank this convention in the same league as other ordinary human assemblies. This is a phenomenon that is based purely on divine help for the propagation of Islam. 3 blessed days of spiritual reformation, of unity, brotherhood, and peace. Join us from the 28th to the 30th of August for Jalsa Salana, Canada, 2015.
फरिश्तों का उतार
We start the third session of Jalsa Salana, Canada. That is the annual conference with a recitation from the Holy Quran. I request Hafiz Ataul Wahab Sahib to please recite. Make a request that recitation of the Holy Quran is a very sacred recitation, and it is important that during the recitation of the Holy Quran there should be complete silence. I request our guests also, who may not be familiar with this tradition, that during the recitation of the Holy Quran we should maintain complete silence.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم زين للناس حب الشهوات من النساء والبنين والقناطير المقنطرة من الذهب والفضة والخيل المسومة والأنعام والحرث ذلك متاع الحياة الدنيا والله عنده حسن المآب قل أنبئكم بخير من ذلكم للذين اتقوا عند ربهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها وأزواج مطهرة ورضوان من الله والله بصير بالعباد الذين فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وقنا عذاب النار الصابرين والصادقين والقانتين والمنفقين والمستغفرين بالأسحار شهد الله أنه لا إله إلا هو لا إله إلا هو والملائكة وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط لا إله إلا هو العزيز الحكيم إن الدين عند الله الإسلام وما اختلف الذين أوتوا الكتاب إلا من بعد ما جاءهم العلم بغيا بينهم ومن يكفر بآيات الله فإن الله سريع الحساب.
Now the English translation of the recitation would be provided by Ishaq Fonshika Sahib.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Gracious, the Merciful. Assalamu alaikum. I will be reading the English translation of the Arabic verses which were just recited from the Holy Quran, chapter Al-Imran, verses 15 to 20. Beautified for men is the love of desired things, women and children, and stored up heaps of gold and silver, and pastured horses, and cattle, and crops. That is the provision of the present life, but it is Allah with whom is an excellent home. Say, shall I inform you of something better than that? For those who fear God, there are gardens with their Lord, beneath which rivers flow. Therein shall they abide, and pure spouses, and Allah's pleasure. And Allah is mindful of His servants. Those who say, Our Lord, we do believe. Forgive us, therefore, our sins, and save us from the punishment of the fire. The steadfast and the truthful and the humble, and those who spend in the way of God, and those who seek forgiveness in the latter part of the night. Allah bears witness that there is no God but He, and also do the angels and those who possess knowledge. Maintainer of justice, there is no God but He, the mighty, the wise. Surely, the true religion with Allah is Islam, complete submission. And those who were given the book did not disagree, but after knowledge had come to them out of mutual envy. And whoso denies the signs of Allah, then surely Allah is quick at reckoning.
Next is the translation in French. Salim Fateh Sahib.
Au nom d'Allah, le gracieux, le miséricordieux. Je vais lire la traduction française du 3e chapitre à l'Imran, versets 15 à 20. Et pour les gens, les femmes, enfants, trésors, amassés d'or et d'argent, chevaux bien nourris, bêtes, récoltes, telle est la provision de la vie d'ici-bas. Mais c'est auprès d'Allah qu'il y a une excellente demeure. Dis, vous parlerez de quelque chose valant encore mieux de tout cela? Pour ceux qui craignent à Allah, se trouvent auprès de leur Seigneur des jardins sous lesquels coulent des rivières. Ils y demeureront éternellement s'ils trouveront aussi des conjoints purifiés par Allah, ainsi que le plaisir d'Allah. Et Allah est attentif aux besoins de ses serviteurs. Qui disent, notre Seigneur, nous croyons vraiment en toi. Pardonnez-nous donc nos péchés et sauvez-nous du châtiment de feu. Les constants, les véridiques et les humbles, et ceux qui dépensent dans la voie d'Allah, et ceux qui implorent le pardon pendant la dernière partie de la nuit. Allah atteste, et les anges, ainsi que tous les hommes éclairés et doués de savoir, qu'il n'est d'autre Dieu que lui, ferme en justice. Il n'y a d'autre Dieu à part de lui, le puissant, le sage. Assurément, la vraie religion aux yeux d'Allah, c'est l'islam, soumission totale. Et ceux qui avaient reçu le livre ne se disputeraient que d'après pour avoir été éclairés par une suite d'une jalousie mutuelle. Et pour ceux qui rencontrent les signes d'Allah, alors assurément Allah est prompt à leur demander compte. Merci.
Thank you. Next is academic awards distribution. I request Secretary Education to please arrange, and meanwhile I would give you an idea of the contents of the program ahead of us. After the academic award distribution, we would have the presentation of the 4th annual Sir Zafrullah Khan Award for Distinguished Service. And then we would invite our distinguished guests to briefly address us. Then we would have a poem in praise of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of God be upon him. Then the presentations would be on the subject of Islam's response to rise of global terrorist organizations. Is freedom of speech and freedom of religion compatible? And then the keynote address, Islam, a roadmap to world peace. Now I request the academic awards distribution.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Respected Amir Sahib, distinguished guests, my dear brothers and sisters, it is my distinct honor and privilege to announce the Academic Achievement Awards. Academic Achievement Awards are conferred for academic excellence on merit basis. An overall average of a diploma, degree, certificate is used to determine the merit. Alhamdulillah, every year we receive an overwhelming number of applications for these awards. Please pray that may Allah bless their achievement and make these foundations for even greater achievement on the international stage, similar to Hazrat Chaudhry Muhammad Zafrullah Khan Sahib Razillah Ta'ala Anhu and Dr. Muhammad Abdul Salam Rahmullah Ameen. Female students who have qualified will be presented their awards separately in ladies sections tomorrow, inshallah. Male students who have qualified in the senior category, grade 12 and above, are now invited to receive their awards from respected Amir Sahib, Jamaat Ahmadiyya Canada. Names of the award recipients for this year are from high school grade 12 category. The first is Ahmadin Jamil Qureshi, son of Abdul Razak Qureshi Sahib from Halifax. He has achieved 93.8%. His father, Abdul Razak Qureshi Sahib, will be receiving the award on behalf of Ahmadin Jamil. Next is Asid Malik, son of Anis Malik Sahib of Rexdale Jamaat. He has received 92% in grade 12. Next is Saad Mahmood, son of Mahmood Ahmed Sahib of Durham. He has received 92% overall average. Next is Abrar Ahmed, son of Mushtaq Ahmed Sahib, Brampton Peel Village. He has received 90% in grade 12. Next is in the undergraduate category, Sinman Ahmed Bisharat Sahib, son of Bisharat Ahmed Sahib of Toronto Central Jamaat. He has completed BSc Honours in Biological Sciences with 87% marks. Next is Suleiman Ahmed, son of Altafur Rahman Sahib of Abode of Peace. He has completed Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering with 87% overall average. Next is Tausif Ahmed, son of Chaudhry Naeem Ahmed Sahib of Montreal West. He has completed BA International Relations with 84% marks. His brother Munib Ahmed will receive the award. Next is Ayun Ahmed Bisharat, son of Bisharat Ahmed Sahib from Windsor. He has completed Bachelor of Education with 81% marks. His father, Bisharat Ahmed Sahib, will receive the award. Next is Ijaz Ahmed, son of Chaudhry Bisharat Ahmed Sahib of Saskatoon North. He has completed Bachelor of Honours Computer Science with 81% marks. And the last is Muhammad Nadaul Nasr Sahib, son of Mubarak Ahmed Tahir Sahib of Abode of Peace. He has completed MBBS with 80% marks. With this, I conclude the academic award ceremony. Jazakumullah ahsan jaza.
Jazakumullah ta'ala ahsan jaza. And now we come to the presentation of the 4th annual Sir Zafrullah Khan Award for Distinguished Service. Asif Khan.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon each of you. The Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat is a dynamic, fast-growing international revival movement within Islam. Founded in 1889, the community spans over 200 countries with membership exceeding tens of millions. We have built over 10,000 mosques, over 500 schools, and over 30 hospitals around the globe. We have translated the Quran into over 60 languages, and we propagate the true teachings of Islam with a message of peace and tolerance. We are Muslims who believe in the Messiah, Mirza Ghulam Ahmed, on whom be peace, and promote love for all, hatred for none. We are a community to be blessed with wonderful relationships based on our genuine love of humanity. It is therefore my honor and privilege to be able to present this part of the program to you. With our guests who have joined us here today and yesterday, we have approximately 60 dignitaries and over 500 guests here at our annual Jalsa Salana. Thank you all for spending your time with us here. The Zafrullah Khan Award. The Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat of Canada is proud to award the 4th annual Sir Muhammad Zafrullah Khan Award for Distinguished Public Service. This award honors leading Canadians who have made outstanding contributions in the fields of public office, and service to humanity at large. May I now turn your attention towards the screens.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, ever merciful. Sir Muhammad Zafrullah Khan is undoubtedly the greatest international statesman from the Muslim world to date. From his fundamental role in the founding of Pakistan to his widely respected advocacy for the rights of Muslims and sovereignty of states throughout the Muslim world. He was revered by diplomats the world over for his sincerity of purpose, mental acumen, and charismatic oratory. He began as a lawyer in the Punjab and soon quickly rose to prominence in public service. He sat on the British Viceroy's Executive Council from 1935 to 1941, and from 1941 to 1947 served as a judge of the Federal Court of India. In 1939, he led the Indian delegation to the League of Nations. He is one of the founding fathers of Pakistan and is known for drafting the Pakistan Resolution, being the first foreign minister of Pakistan, and for his tenure as a representative of Pakistan at the UN, during which he earned global regard from many world leaders for his articulate and genuine representation of Pakistan and several other countries, including Libya, Northern Ireland, Eritrea, Somalia, Sudan, Tunisia, Morocco, and Indonesia. From 1962 to 1964, his career as an international statesman reached its apex when he was elected as the President of the United Nations General Assembly, the pinnacle of international governance and diplomacy. From 1970 to 1973, he also had the august privilege of serving as the Chief Judge and President of the International Court of Justice at The Hague.
I believe in the brotherhood and equality of man. I recognize no division or privilege based on race, color, family, or wealth. The only badge of honor and nobility that I recognize is the purity and righteousness of a man's life.
I add, but not only was he a uniquely distinguished international diplomat, he was a man of great religious inclination, renowned for the sincerity of his convictions. A devout Ahmadi Muslim, he took distinct pride in having entered the Ahmadiyya Muslim community as a young child at the hands of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the founder of the community himself. All his life he maintained a very close relationship of deep reverence and deference to the Khalifa of Islam, and always attributed his incredible success to this deep connection with the Khilafat of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. He was an accomplished scholar of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, having translated the Holy Quran into English and authored several books on Islam and contemporary society, including Islam for the Modern Man. Despite attaining immense success with wealth during his career, he was noted for living a life of piety and simplicity. Another celebrated Ahmadi Muslim, Nobel laureate Dr. Abdul Salam writes that after retirement, Sir Zafrullah Khan dedicated all his life savings for charitable purposes. His achievements as an international statesman are of the highest order and were always to the universal admiration to those that knew him, colored by his moral convictions and sincere dedication to serving mankind. The Sir Zafrullah Khan Award is thus awarded to the person who exemplifies the qualities of sincere dedication to the service of society and for the greater good of humankind in large. With this understanding of the award's name, let me now tell you about the recipient of this award. The recipient has a rich history in both academics as well as politics. He has served many different roles, many which have involved advancing human rights and the rule of law throughout the world. A graduate of McGill University, he later went on to become a professor of law and teach at his alma mater. From 1973 till his election, he also served as the director of McGill's Human Rights Program. A past president of the Canadian Jewish Congress, he has been a visiting professor at Harvard Law, a Woodrow Wilson Fellow at Yale Law School, and is the recipient of 10 honorary doctorates. In 1992, he was appointed as an officer of the Order of Canada. Our recipient's career in politics began in 1999 when he was first elected to the Canadian House of Commons and has served our government as the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada. As Minister, he initiated the first ever comprehensive reform of the Supreme Court appointment process and helped make it the most gender representative Supreme Court in the world. Appointed the first ever Aboriginal and visible minorities justices to the Ontario Court of Appeal, initiated the first ever law on human trafficking, and made the pursuit of international justice a government priority. Aside from politics, this individual has worked tirelessly in the ever-needed field of human rights law. He has served on the Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and is on the Subcommittee on Human Rights and International Development, as well as the Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights. In 2000, he was appointed Special Advisor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs on the International Criminal Court. An expert on international